Hi there and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today a video about cheating in astrophotography. Yeah, you can cheat your way into a nice astrophoto and I'm going to show you how. So in this example that I'm going to show you, I am using flats that are just too old, which means that the images are not being calibrated correctly. But still you can use some Photoshop trickery to get your pictures in the right direction, let's call it that. Obviously it's best to shoot proper flats every time you do an image run, but if you are lazy like me, you can use this trick. As usual, this video is divided into chapters, so down below you can click in the description to a certain section that might be of most interest to you. I will start out with using Siril, and I'm going to show as well to do the stacking and pre-processing manually. So I'm not going to use the scripts feature as I did in my previous video, which you will find up here. And I'm going to then in the end show Photoshop. So you can skip ahead to Photoshop if you want to see the cheats only. But if you are interested into seeing how to do this in Siril, the stacking, pre-processing and those kind of things, then stick around. So first we are going to collect all the files. So we'll start with the HA. I shot 600-second subs, so 10 minutes. And I did that on 2 subsequent nights. So I can combine them all into one sequence. And I tend to then name my sequences in a way that makes more sense. So the third night I did RGB, but we'll look at that later. So yeah, let's give this name M101, which is the object, the HA data, and I shot 40 subs of 600 seconds. We can click convert, and then we will have all these files in a sequence. Let's also do that with the HaRGB data. So let's start with the R. And again, we need to name this. So R, we have 15 subs, this time 180 seconds. Yeah, we have them all here. So we can click convert, and then we can go on to the green data. I tend to do everything in the HaRGB order, so I don't get confused. This time it was 17 subs, and then we can do the last batch of blue, which were 20 subs. So blue and 20 times 180 seconds. Okay, so then we have the sequences. So there are 4 now, HA, R, G and B. So let's start with HA, and we can do the pre-processing. I shot this with the 2600 mm mini, the 2600 mm. So I need to use my bias, and I'm going to use the flat. So this flat is from March 18th, which is way too old. And yeah, as well, the non-usage of darks is a cheat in itself, but don't tell anybody. So then we can do that same pre-processing step with the red subs, and in this case I just know what the name of that file is, so I just change the HA into a R, and then I can run the pre-processing. And the same I do with the green and the blue. The green, let's change that R into a G. Click the Start Pre-Processing button. And a few seconds later we have pre-processed files. And then we have 3 already. Blue is the last one. So let's do that one. Change the G in the blue, boo, in a B. And then we have that all pre-processed. Next step, what I'd like to do at least is make sure that these files are flat. Of course I've pre-processed them already, but there's probably a gradient in there due to light pollution, the moon playing along, or not playing along. So what I used to do, what I am used to do is apply a background extraction to the subs. 10 samples per line is enough. Let's get this a little bit lower, and then we can tick the Apply to Sequence button or checkbox, and then apply it to the entire sequence. So every pre-processed file will now get a background extracted version. This takes a few seconds again, and then we can go and do the same thing for the red, green and blue. The HA data that you see here doesn't have that much gradient in it, but yeah, in this case the red one already has a little bit more. So let's use the same settings. You can just apply it to the sequence again, and then hopefully this gradient will disappear, or at least will be a little bit reduced. Siril is now in histogram mode, so we are showing a saturated view actually. It's extremely stretched. Yeah, the green has more background extraction to be done, and the blue is even worse, I think. Let me see. Yeah, wow. Well, let's hope that this gets reduced. So the result will be that we will have, instead of the pp underscore files in the sequences, we now have a bkg, like background extraction or something, in the sequences. Yep, there they are. Let's start with the HA, and then we can register them. So star pattern recognition is done, and then every sub of that sequence is aligned on top of each other. And yeah, we do this after the background extraction because we want a gradient that is possibly existent due to light pollution to be removed in advance, because yeah, re-registering the subs will move the files around, or the image around. So let's do it like this, I thought, and we're doing the same thing for the red, green and blue. Well, and after registering we can stack them immediately. And this will hopefully also get rid of satellites and those kinds of things due to the Winsorized Sigma clipping algorithm. I've reduced the amount of processors so my screen recording software doesn't get tripped up. There we have the HA. Let's go to the red and then do the same trick again. So we do the registration. This time we'll go a little bit quicker, I guess. And after registering, we're gonna stack them. And then the green. Oh no, this is still the red. We need to first stack it, of course. So there we have a satellite trail. Let's see if it gets removed nicely. Yep, but we already start to see the problem that I have with the flats that are not compatible anymore. So green, register it. Then we can go to stacking and stack them. And the view mode is now auto stretch, so we don't see this hideous gradient anymore, although after stacking some of it becomes more apparent. And last but not least, the blue. The blue had the most gradient, if I recall correctly, and I also see again a satellite trail in this image, which is only one of the subs, of course, in the entire sequence. So let's stack it. And this will not be pretty, I guess. Ouch. Okay. What we now need to do is we need to load all these stacked files into own sequence again. So I like to do this in the correct order. So I start with HA, then I do R, and then G, and then B. And I'm going to name it again, like in a way that I know what the order was. So HaRGB. And the reason I'm doing this is because these individual stacks will not align. Some of them are even flipped, as you can see. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to register these files again. And because I did this in a specific order, HaRGB, I will know that the files that will be numbered can be still identified. Because the next step that I'm going to put these things through is the RGB recombination. So I'm going to the RGB compositing tool, and here I can know that if HaRGB, so number 2 is the red, number 3 will be the green, and 4 will be the blue. And then I can add another color to the mix, and that will be number 1, which is the HA. So let's not make it yellow, but let's H alpha, make it the H alpha color. And then I can also adjust the layer brightness, so I know for certain that it is properly mixed. I can unlink the auto stretch so I can see a little bit more of the color. It's starting to look nice. So next step that I would like to do is make sure that this color information is calibrated correctly. I can use the Photomatic color calibration tool. So this will then compare it to the known colors of stars and adjust the RGB channel in such a way that these star colors are retained as much as possible in the correct colors. Doing so also allows me to switch on these nice annotations. And then I need to finalize the stretch. So I just simply do an auto stretch here. I'm not going to mess with manual stretching. I don't think it is necessary for this image, especially now we are going into cheat mode. So let's name this the HaRGB M101, well, recording, because I'm recording this for YouTube. And I'll make it a TIFF file. 16-bit is good enough, and I can go into Photoshop. So in Photoshop, what we need to do first is get rid of those ugly stacking artifacts. I can do this with the crop tool. If I hold the Alt key, I can make the crop decrease in size evenly on all sides, and then I can create a duplicate of this image. Let's get rid of this window. So I go to the image, then duplicate, and I don't care about the name. And what I then now need to do is make sure that I get rid of all the bright spots in the image. I'm going to use the clone stamp tool, and I'm going to remove all these things. Let's speed this up a bit. The reason for this is that I'm going to blur the image after this step, and I don't want these bright stars to still show up in the blurred image. So here we do the blur, and this will give me an image that I can use as an artificial flat. So in the original image, I'm going to duplicate the layer, and then I'm going to apply that artificial flat. So let's select that copied image. And if I have dust modes or something, I can use the lighten mode, but that's not the case here. What I want to get rid of is that vignetting and the light, the weird colors. So if I do subtract, you can see that's a nice treat, if you ask me. So that looks nice. Let's duplicate this layer again, and make some final adjustments, and make this image a little bit more pretty. I usually do this with the camera raw filter. Let's load camera raw filter and then zoom in a bit so I can see what I'm doing, because I'm going to bump up the saturation a bit, and I'm going to increase the clarity. I don't care about the noise that it creates, because I'm going to get rid of that in a second step. And this step includes another duplication of the layer. And I don't want everything to get this noise reduction applied to, so I'm going to select the shadows, the black in the image. And I'm going to adjust the sliders in such a way that I'm getting most of the black, but not the nebulosity or the galaxy in this case. And I'm going to create a mask. And then on the main image, I'm going to again go into the camera raw filter, but this time I go into the settings for the noise reduction, and I'm going to remove all noise. I don't care about it becoming ugly, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the effect by changing the opacity to 50% or something. And if that's okay, then I think we can go ahead with reducing that sky background brightness. And I do this using the levels tool. You can find that in the image adjustment levels. And if you double click the black eyedropper, I set my RGB values to 30, 30, 30. And if I make sure that the target area is set to a big enough range, I can just click anywhere in the picture that I want the background to be set to. So, Yeah, let's create another layer, and then we are going to yeah, I think that the background is still a little bit too artificial, and then let's make sure that we make a selection, but yeah, I think we need to just even out the entire background. So I'm going to again create a selection of the background, and I'm going to just simply average it out. This is very artificial looking, so perhaps we need to reduce the effect again a little bit. We can try and doing that with the opacity slider, but I think it's best to apply it in a different way. So what I think what we best can do is use the select and mask tool. So if we click on the selection, the mask I mean, then we can go into the select menu and then select and mask. And then we can increase the feathering of the selection, so it becomes a little bit less abrupt. And if we then shift the edge to the left side, then we will reduce the amount of background that is selected. There. I think this looks a whole lot more less artificial. So I think we can call it a day, or call this end result. Perhaps there are a few more tweaks that I would do, but I think it's good enough like this. So let's save it, and then I'll show you the end result at the end of this video. So I hope you like this. If you are learning something from this, then you have now just learned to cheat your way into an astrophotography project. I would say use this with care. Let's not make every astrophotography project this cheaty. But if you need to, because you don't have flats or whatever, then you can apply it like this. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.